All right, so yeah, we're rolling. We're rolling. We're hot.
We're hot. We're hot.
We're hotter than hell.
And it's not hot today.
In the grand scheme of things,
relatively speaking.
Relatively compared to the last couple days, no, it's not terribly hot. But
it's not awful.
Anybody that's halfway human would tell us we're crazy for saying it's not hot.
Well,
welcome again to ShiftLess, where we do nothing but talk bicycles only, in a professional studio environment.
Hermetically sealed. Oh, goodness.
Lucy's like, what the hell are y'all doing? You're way, way late.
She's so excitable this morning. I don't know what her deal is.
Is this me?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. We are joined, as promised, by Justin Cary.
Hey.
I hate this because he gets to look at my computer and see how dumb I fumble around on it. I look so professional. He's in it across from me.
So yeah, the unconventional Justin Cary joins us for a should we call it a Leadville debrief? Would that be appropriate, Bradford?
I like that. That's what I mean. Selfishly, that's what I was hoping was to talk about his Leadville experience, his Leadville warm-up, acclimation.
Man, I'm doing everything wrong today.
What the fuck is wrong with you, Kevin?
I don't know, man.
Is that supposed to be plugged into something?
It is.
What are you doing? One of these days we'll have a real producer.
Well, I mean, wouldn't that be awesome? Maybe that's what, man, you know, when DJ Khaled can't make it, maybe I'll push the audio file to him and say, edit this. Since we're an episode behind right now, my ass is dragging. So
I noticed
I didn't get edited, but here's my game plan.
Mm-hmm.
Here's my game plan. Tell me if I'm off base here. I think what we're recording today on Wednesday is a little more time sensitive than what we typically. I think it would be more beneficial for this one to come out earlier than usual. So I'm going to try to edit what we record today and release it tomorrow and make that this week's episode.
Oh, that'd be cool. Yeah, because I honestly, I do this all the time. I don't even remember what we talked about last week.
I don't know that we talked about anything too terribly important last week.
Don't say that. Everything we talk about is extremely important and breaking news.
And that's part of it. It's like I'm going to have to sit down and listen to that one and edit it. And it may have put me to sleep. My ass is dragging this week.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't understand what your deal is. But after we rode Saturday, I felt good. I took Sunday and Monday off. I had house guests, like I told you.
Yeah.
And they're New Orleans residents.
Okay.
And so they go hard in the paint. And they put me in a bind. I got home and I was like, man, I just want to take a nap. I took a shower. I got out of the shower and it's like 3:30 and they're pouring martinis and I'm like, what are we doing? So it was not the best. It was not the best recovery plan.
I think your recovery plan was better than mine, though.
Yeah, it was fun.
The wife and I went and rode Trinity Trail Sunday morning.
Yeah,
in the full sun.
I was planning on riding Sunday down to Knob Hills and doing.
Sunday was hot. Yeah. Sunday was nuts.
Yeah.
After that shade ride on Saturday,
dude, that route was better than the brochure, for sure.
I liked it.
Yeah,
I liked it.
I thought, sure, we'll be in shade, a good bit of time. But we were literally shaded, like, conservatively 80% of the time.
I was about to say, I think 80 is conservative, maybe closer to 85.
Yeah, because I didn't realize that the roads that we were going to jump off of the net onto were all, for the most part, were small back roads, but they were either very well maintained or very shittily maintained, but they were all, for the most part, canopied, which was really cool.
That was completely intentional. That was how I plotted the route. I used the aerials and say, where's the shade? Let's find a road that goes near it.
I just didn't, I haven't been out in that area in forever, and so I didn't know what to expect. So I was highly surprised with how much shade there was.
Most of those roads that we did, I'll let Mr. Walschmidt clarify.
Yeah.
To the best of my knowledge, they're new to me.
Yeah.
I don't think they've been used in Spinistry stuff before, but Rich will be the one. He'll throw that on his diary and verify that. But here we are. We're just talking about our piddly shit, and we've got like a superhero in the midst.
Yeah.
I'm not a superhero.
You're the only person we know that got a buckle this year, I think. Did you bring your buckle?
Oh, no.
Son of a gun.
Jeebus. Go back down 380 and go get that bitch.
No, I left it with my dad, actually.
We need show and tell. Why'd you leave it with him? Is he going to wear it?
I have two of them.
Oh, you do? Yeah, well.
I told him to wear it, actually.
That's awesome. That's cool that you got to spend time with your dad, too.
Yeah, so we did, I got there 4 days. I got there a week early, but I spent 4 days with him. We were riding 50 miles a day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How'd that... In retrospect, do you think that was the right play? You think it was maybe slightly off, or?
It's hard to say. So I did more hours of riding. I wrote it down. It was So I did in 2023. I did 114 hours of training from May to August. Basically May to Leadville. Leadville's in August, but the beginning of August.
Yeah.
And then in 2024, I did 170 hours.
Yeah.
So there's different factors. So I acclimated this year for a week.
Yeah.
I trained more a few months before it. And then nutrition and water was the same. It was all good. So it's either acclimating or training or my idea of forced acclimation.
Well, and there's also, you can't discount the fact that you just have more hours in your legs, period. And you have more experience on the course. And I mean, there's a bunch of factors that we kind of downplay, but just stacking years in your legs changes things too, because you just have, when you get to a certain wall, basically, where you're like, oh, this feels, if you can just push through it, you're going to be okay. Whereas, when you're not as experienced, you don't know how to handle that,
Completely agree. I cramped on this year, and I didn't cramp last year. And when I was cramping, I wasn't worried at all.
Yeah.
It was like no big deal. There's just little cramps,
So, cramping, in my experience, only comes from two things: lack of minerals. You can call it salt, hydration, obviously, or overusage. Not overusage, but you're going beyond what you've trained up to. I don't know how to say that better.
Fitness. I just call it fitness.
Yeah. You're riding above your head.
Yeah.
And you obviously weren't riding above your head, so that leads me to believe there was a hole in your nutrition.
The plan was perfect. I didn't stick to the plan perfectly.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
And I did drink. Well, I started chugging water around when I was getting cramped, and they actually did go away.
Yeah.
They got better. It didn't get worse.
Let's do just a quick pause here.
Yeah.
Justin, can you pull your mic closer to your mouth?
How's that? Testing.
You actually want it like...
Testing.
Yeah.
Testing.
You remember when you worked the drive-thru at Taco Bell?
I think that's better.
Are we back live?
We are.
Okay. So, you don't carry any salt pills or anything like that with you, just for like an emergency rescue like that?
No. I was doing around 800 milligrams of salt an hour, and then I feel like I think I forgot to bring extra salt with me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And where are you getting that salt from? What's your source?
Sodium citrate.
Sodium citrate.
Yeah.
So not citric acid, sodium citrate. Okay.
We've talked about this a few times on the podcast, and I brought you guys a sample.
Yeah, I want to check it. Okay. I definitely want to check it.
First off, before we lose track of it.
Yeah. We're going to be all over the board anyways.
Well, I understand. So let's hit the high notes. You completed Leadville last year, 2023, correct?
Yeah, with about 2 minutes to spare.
Yeah.
Okay, so you got the buckle last year. Mm-hmm. So 11:58 is that?
Yeah, give or take 10 seconds.
Okay.
Yes.
Did you complete this year?
I did, and I did it 45 minutes faster, a little over 45 minutes actually. I did. It was 11 hours and 13 minutes.
Okay.
And you cramped this year, and you didn't cramp last year.
Yes.
So just better fitness all the way around, better handling skills, better bike.
Okay.
Better course conditions.
It's weird because I kind of turned into a roadie a little bit. Got a road bike, been gravel riding a ton for the last year, road riding, and then somehow my mountain bike handling I feel like got better. I don't really understand how.
Yeah, I don't get that either.
Well, it might be the bike, but I also feel like it's a confidence level. So like every time I crash, I feel like my confidence goes down.
Or your fitness level is that much higher.
That's where I was
So you're not going into stupid head mode on bike handling.
I totally agree with that too. Okay. There's something to be said for just having a relatively lower heart rate makes your handling a little bit better, because when you get exhausted and you get dinged out, so to speak, that's when your handling skills go to shit. So, just having better fitness is going to make you handle a bike minimally better. Obviously handling skills aren't something that you just inherit, but also time on a bike just changes things too.
This bike was also much better. It's the same bike, but I put a dropper on this time compared to last year, and I also have a new suspension fork in the front.
Yeah.
So at stock it was 100 millimeters. I don't know what fork it was, but it was the mid. With bikes, there's always a top level, a middle, and then a bottom. So this was the mid level. So with putting this fork on, it's a Fox Factory 120, and it is the top of the level you can get. And it was.
And it's gold. Let's not look over the fact that it's gold.
Do you know what Dylan Johnson copied me? I had this before he put it on his bike. I did not copy him.
But you're not running drop bars.
No.
You need to change your Trek stickers to gold now.
Yeah.
Right.
Did you speaking of Dylan Johnson, did you run liners?
What do you mean?
Tire liners.
I'm guessing that means no.
Inserts.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. So, and no tire issues?
No. Speaking of that, they discontinued these tires.
Oh, really?
And I think these are the same tires I had on from last year.
Jeez, a ton.
I've never had one flat, never had a puncture. And I put thousands of miles on them.
You don't need a fitness coach. You need a bike coach.
I bring all the spares. If I had any issues, I have everything in that little pack back there. Things like
you have another tire in that pack.
I have a sewing needle and thread. I have.
You know what that's going to do to your time?
Yeah, but it'll still let you finish. I could fix it in 45 minutes.
Dude, on a race that means that much to you, what you should do is get new tires about 2 weeks out.
I know.
And you should make sure they're vetted, make sure they're slightly broken in, but.
Yeah, but he's spending all his money on his kid's bike, so.
Yeah.
I did that for Unbound, though. I had new tires.
Yeah.
But.
It's not, you never want to put them on the day before the race. That's a bad move as well. But you don't want to run like ancient tires on a race and have that be the determining factor on your finish.
So you said you had a dropper post this year. I assume that means you didn't have a dropper last year?
Yeah, that's right.
So did you find yourself using it a lot?
It was amazing. Yeah. So my descents were, I don't know if it was the dropper or the suspension, but
both.
Yeah.
Or both, but
the flat pedals.
I got passed by one person the entire day.
The non-granny seat.
Yeah.
Could be part two.
Yeah, so only one person passed me, and then when he passed me, I caught up to him and rode with him for a while. But I mean, obviously, I'm not in the front group. You know, but with the people around me, nobody passed me on descents.
That's awesome.
And I looked up Strava. There was 2 segments where I was in the 150 place. Does that make sense on descents?
Yeah. That's awesome. And that's all time or this year?
Oh, just this year.
Yeah.
Did you compare your descent times this year to last year?
I did. Every single segment I had a medal.
Yeah.
It was just climbing, descents, everything was different. I actually walked about 50% less this year than I did last year.
That's awesome.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that would account for, 5 minutes a time there, you think?
It's probably more, actually, because walking for me at Leadville, I feel like it does save a little energy, but it's slower because you're constantly getting passed by people. So I remember last year, there's a lot of places where people will walk, and I was always the first person to start walking. And then on this one, it was like maybe the fifth person. Like if there was 5 people walking, I was walking. But if there was 4 or 3 people walking, I was probably riding it.
Okay, so it doesn't sound like you were getting bogged down by the conga line of walkers, or were you?
So, okay, yeah, that's the point. So I was supposed to be in a higher up group, and I did get bogged down a little bit, especially in the mountain biking part. It was just, I probably lost maybe 20, 30 minutes.
That's huge.
Yeah, and there's not a lot you can do about it unless you really qualify for the better corrals.
Well, that's what we were talking about last time, and you said the corrals weren't that important.
Well, I know, but last year it wasn't. This year for me it was.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So,
but I was in a better corral last year.
But did you go Justin Cary and blow yourself up at the beginning of the race and have to find yourself recovering?
I was thinking about you guys and not doing it.
Yeah.
And I didn't do that.
You didn't do it?
No.
Good.
No.
And do you feel like it worked out better?
I mean, I don't think there have been much of a difference because it's after the first
45 minutes of difference.
Well, no, you hit a big climb after 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then that's what determines like where the fit people are, where where people are going to start walking.
Sure.
Yeah.
And it becomes difficult to monitor your own efforts instead of focusing on the wheel in front of you, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You know?
I mean,
it takes a lot of discipline to stay and ride your own ride instead of trying to follow somebody that may or may not be stronger than you, or on the inverse, slowing down to ride pace with somebody that's going to be slower than you. You know?
Yeah, I agree. It was hard to find people that were my same speed. I would actually be constantly passing people, and then they would pass me. And I think it has to do with being a heavier rider because I'm faster in descents. And
You're not that heavy. Quit. Stop. You're not allowed to talk about yourself like that.
I mean, compared to those 125-pound...
Yeah. I mean, what does Keegan weigh? He probably weighs 135 or something.
Yeah.
And Dylan's same, like probably 135. I mean, but...
That's not realistic.
No, I actually changed it on the notes. So instead of saying I'm going to lose weight for next year, I'm going to lose body fat percentage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not a bad plan. I mean, as long as you do it over the course of time instead of trying to, like, just drop 30 pounds in a month or something ridiculous like that.
Yeah.
There's a lot to be said for it's cheaper, easier, and healthier to lose weight off your body than it is to start trying to shed weight off your bike. Because once you hit a precipice on your bike, it just costs $1,000 a pound, give or take. So it becomes exponentially more expensive to make your bike lighter, and then it makes it more fragile invariably. So losing weight off your body and maintaining your fitness and strength is always an upgrade. So
yeah,
I agree from that factor. I mean, I'm trying to shed a couple of lbs myself. So is it a preem? Are we having a preem? We're gonna let you keep rolling because you brought all these fancy notes, and I haven't found a spelling error yet. So
really,
I saw a couple.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna let them slide.
Well, I want to go back to the corral, because you said you ended up in the wrong corral.
Yeah, so for Little Sugar is where I got my coin to qualify for this race. I won the lottery there, and I had a mechanical there. I don't know if I told this story, but I sliced my sidewall open at Little Sugar, and I was almost done with the race, maybe 20 miles left, 15 miles left, and I was like trying to get that Leadville coin, and I had plenty of time, so I picked my bike up and I started running with it because I couldn't fix it.
You didn't have your sewing kit?
That was before I started to bring all this stuff. I didn't even have a tube.
You think, oh my God,
yeah.
No tube?
I know. I hadn't used the tube in years, so I was like, I don't need it. And then
you don't carry a tube.
Always have a tube.
Yeah. You don't not carry a tube because you haven't had to use one. You carry one because invariably you will have to use one.
Oh, I learned the hard way.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So I'm running with my bike, and then like I finally run into my friend. He gives me a tube. I mean, I probably wasted an hour. I was trying to run the rest of the race. So I finished just before the cutoff. I won the coin, but then I realized I should have asked him to use my Austin Radler qualifier time because I did good in that race.
Okay.
And it just slipped my mind. But
okay, I get.
So you could have been potentially in a better corral.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
You live and you learn.
Yeah. So all right. So Little Sugar's October. Are you going to that?
No, I have a family vacation.
Okay.
For that one.
All right.
Good for you.
When's the Rattler?
It's November 2nd, I think.
November 2nd.
Going to that one, Bill.
Going to that. So, all right. So, is your goal to get the best qualification you can out of that, or not so worried about it?
Yeah, of course I'm going to try and get the best corral I could get. Yeah, and try and beat my friends.
Okay. So, I mean, just give me the 45-second snapshot of the corral system and what, after a couple runs at it, what's your opinion, where people want to be to have a realistic shot at their best time, or how that works?
Yeah, so I think there's around 5 corrals when they start a few minutes from each other. But where I was wrong about this last time I was on the podcast, I was like, well, it doesn't matter. They didn't slow me down last time. But I think what it is like, if you're in a corral that's starting sooner, you're going to be with better people. So let's say you're with people that have more skill, that people are going to be doing sub-9. When you get to the mountain bike sections, they're going to be sending it faster, sending it harder. Whereas if you're in the back, a lot of these people don't know how to mountain bike. They're good at road.
Sure.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I saw 2 people walking down these really, I don't know all the descents names. I don't know. Columbine.
There's Pipeline and Columbine.
Yeah. I think
I haven't been there, and I know that.
Yeah.
Anyways, I saw 2 people walking down them, and it was scary.
Yeah, because you're almost you're putting yourself in harm's way walking down rather than riding.
Yeah.
But that's my opinion. But I've dealt with that a lot.
Well, it was one on a drop bar bike, you know, so.
But I've dealt with that a lot on mixed surface rides where the people with quote-unquote roadie fitness will scream past you on the gravel, and then when you get into the single track, they just don't know how to ride a bike. And so you end up passing them there, and then when you pop back out onto a gravel section, they're going to pass you back, Like, that's the same. That's the whole argument behind Rudolph's Revenge and Watchdog Challenge. I've witnessed that a lot, and then even BT Epic, that opens with a road section, and I'm always on a single speed. So on the road, sometimes you get passed by stronger people that just have more road style fitness, and then you get into the single track, and they get to the least bit technical section, and they lock up mentally. So I totally get what you're saying. Yeah,
I remember that from the All or Nothing last year, the Spinistry event, that I was getting passed by a lot of roadies.
Yeah, but it'll happen. That's what we were talking about, All or Nothing, last night around the circle at TNSS, and I was talking to one of the guys, and he was like, so what bike would you run on that? Like a drop bar mountain bike, bro? Like,
or my bike from last year.
Yeah, minus the granny seat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Justin's growing up. One
step at a time. One step at a time.
Yeah.
Not blowing himself up in the first 2 miles.
Man.
We'll have him sub 9 next year. Just keep listening to us, man.
Yeah, is that the goal?
I was very hesitant to say when I was on the podcast last time, because I feel like I wasn't ready to do it, to get it. It is really hard. I know people that go for 10 years to Leadville, and they've got it like one time.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, it has to be a perfect storm, obviously. I mean, anything along the year can disrupt your training cycle, and obviously weather, like Kevin loves to say, is always a factor. Course conditions, just.
Did you notice any difference one year to the next for course conditions?
Yeah, this year was slightly harder than last year. Just slightly, because it did hail. It got cold. It was windy.
Yeah.
What about the trail itself? 6 of one, half dozen of another?
It felt easier just because I think I had a better bike.
Had a more plush front end on it.
Yeah.
And the tires were familiar with the trail.
The tires had the trail memorized.
I bought like 3 sets of these because I was like,
jeez.
I don't want to.
I think there's faster tires out there, but that's just me.
Yeah, fast is relative.
Yeah, because what happens when you get a sidewall split? It's not faster.
Well, the Continental Race King is a really fast tire. What's the width on those?
2.2.
2.2. So the Race King's a 2.2. It has an armored sidewall, and it's arguably a faster rolling resistance tire. So for the road sections, I mean, you go back to Dylan's thought process, you're getting marginal gains just from rolling resistance. But you know, if it's your favorite tire and you look down and it breeds confidence when you see that tire and you go, oh, you know how that tire handles, and you know, there's something to be said for that. So
I mean, flatting slows you down. Keegan Swinson flatted.
Yeah. So did you watch the Grand Prix coverage, the Lifetime Grand Prix coverage?
I was in their video that they made, like the completion video.
Yeah.
I got 1 second on it. Like I was on the video for 1 second.
I didn't see you. I didn't notice you.
Were you in your McKinney Velo?
No, it was during the expo. That's why.
The expo.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed. Well, the reason
expo doesn't count, dude.
But the reason I asked that is because from everything I could tell from the video, Keegan got a flat, but he didn't even bother trying to mess with it.
Yep.
He just kept riding. He was riding a liner.
Yeah.
And he just rode to the aid station, and they changed out his wheel, and he was sitting there so casual, just drinking, and his mechanic was changing out his rear wheel, and then he just carried on. And Lachlan actually stopped to try to mess with his tire. I assume that Lachlan wasn't running a liner. I don't know for a fact, but I think that's why he stopped to mess with his, and it looked like he was giving him fits, and then the camera cut. But he ended up riding after he jacked with his wheel, which probably was at the very minimum a minute.
Yeah, but correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, I know Keegan's flat was a rear flat. Lachlan's was front, wasn't it?
You know, they said that on Bonk Brothers, but I think it was a rear.
Was it?
I'd have to go back and watch, but I think it was a
I thought
rear.
I remembered seeing him messing with it on the front end, but maybe
That's possible, and that is a completely different animal. Riding on any kind of...
Can't ride a flat tire on a front wheel.
No, not even
particularly on a descent.
Yeah, definitely not on a descent, but even on the road, I mean, it's difficult. I've ridden many of flats.
Do you guys know where Keegan Swinson flatted? If it was like in the
Pipeline.
beginning, or
on the descent.
It was like 3/4 of the way down Pipeline.
Yeah.
Well, I say that.
And Lachlan flatted.
I think that it was like 1.5 miles, 2 miles left on the Pipeline descent.
Yeah, and then like 2 or 3 miles left to the aid station, from what I understand.
Yeah.
Well, what mile would that be during the race?
I mean,
18, 20?
5 miles from the aid station.
This is really confusing.
After Pipeline.
It's confusing to me because Keegan Swinson passed me last time at mile. I was on around mile 40.
Are you saying Keegan cheated?
No, I thought he was doing better this year than last year, and he
was doing better.
Until he flatted.
Yeah,
but he flatted in the beginning.
He was trying to make...
Right?
Yeah.
Because, no, I was going to say, he passed
earlier
me
parts.
He passed me in a spot where I thought he was going faster. So, like, last year, I was on mile 40-ish at the dam, and then he comes down passing me. So he already gone up, coming back down, and he passed me there. And then he broke the record.
Yeah.
Right? But on this year, I was on mile, like, maybe 35, and he comes flying past me. So, it's weird, because he flatted before that. But in my head... During the race, I'm like, either I'm going slower or he's...
But you were in a further back corral this year, too, so you started further back.
There is that.
Well, you're so smart. I knew you could figure it out for me.
He's not just a pretty face. But Keegan was screaming this year. I mean, if you think about it, he flatted, I think when he... And I'm completely talking out of my ass, but I think by the time he had his wheel remedied... He had dropped back down to like 12th place or something. And then within 20, 25 miles, he had a 6-minute gap on the entire field. That's crazy. He was screaming. He was on form. That is, I mean, it was a foregone conclusion that he was going to win, barring any major mechanical or wreck. His goal was to beat, 5:30 this year?
Yeah.
So he finished in 5:49, which is...
He's not even drafting off people unless I'm wrong, but I feel like every time I hear about him or see videos of him, he's just in the front.
Yeah.
And you can't draft in the front.
if you get a chance, a really interesting Leadville perspective was on Payson McKelvin's Adventure Stash.
Yeah.
With John Gaston, the second place guy.
Yeah. That's his race. That John Gaston, I think that's one of the only races he does.
It basically is the only race he does.
And so him getting second was not a surprise. You know, I think he's been second or third for like 4 years or something like that. So
he's an unconventional guy himself.
He's a bigger guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. He is not a small statured man. But he killed it at second place. So I'll have to listen to that.
It was an interesting perspective.
I like old Payson McKelvin.
Did they live stream the race? I thought somebody told me they did.
I think it was on Instagram, but it was just clips.
Oh, okay.
And it was
what I've heard is it's not like Unbound where people with the technology can like crisscross across the course and pick people up at different segments. Or maybe you could probably explain this better to me with how the support crew works and everything like that. How do people get around on the course and do the different spots?
Yeah, so it changes every year. This year, what they wanted people to do was park at it's mile 28 or 25. There's an aid station there, and then they wanted people to take a bus from there to the dam, unless you were a pro or you were in the first 2 or 3 groups. So they made it a little more difficult for the crewing. But what I did, they made it difficult and easier. So they let you drop a cooler off at Twin Lakes, which is around Twin Lakes. No, sorry, at the dam. Is it Twin Lakes Dam? Yeah, Twin Lakes Dam. So it's at mile 40 and mile 60. So it kind of makes it easier because you don't need your crew there. So I just dropped my cooler off there, and then my crew was at mile 28.5.
Okay, so they were just at that one spot. They didn't run around?
Exactly. So it made it more simple. The year prior to that, last year, my crew was trying to get back and forth.
Right.
They didn't let us drop coolers off, and it actually made it super complicated. I missed them once or twice, and it just made it really hard.
Okay.
But the way they did it this year was much simpler, and I feel like sometimes simple is better.
Simple is better.
Yeah.
I will vouch for that almost every time.
You know what I also did was I brought my tracker, the spot tracker, with me to help them, because my idea was they don't have to be sitting there trying to look for me. They can just follow along, and then I'm getting every 5 minutes it updates. So I'm 5-10 minutes away, and they're like, okay, well, he's getting close. Let's stand up. Let's watch.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
Yeah, that is good stuff.
Sounded like they had fun too.
That's smart thinking. Should we move to the next point on your notes here?
If you're following points, go for it.
That's where you were. We should talk about how crewing works. It's very complicated. That's what you're discussing right now, right?
Yeah.
So, and then you said tips for new races.
I think I meant tips for new riders.
Oh, okay.
Racers. So that would be a spell check.
So bring a jacket to start and hand it off 5 minutes before the start. I think that's weather, predictive, but
2 years in a row, it gets cold there in the morning.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so bring a jacket. I saw people, they have donating jackets. I don't know, people would bring old jackets and then just throw them away, I guess. But if you have somebody with you, give it to them.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you said have a rain jacket. Did it rain on you guys? I didn't see any rain in the coverage.
It rained and hailed, and I had a 20-mile-an-hour headwind at one point, and I almost stopped and put my jacket on. I always run hot, though, so in my mind I was like, what should I do? And I was following this girl's wheel, and I had just pulled her for 10 minutes, so I didn't feel too bad about following her wheel then. Yeah. And if I had stopped to put it on like other people were doing, I feel like I would have lost her wheel, and I would have lost the motivation to hit this climb in the headwind, in cold and hill. Yeah. So I just pushed through.
Well, you don't put the jacket on till you crest the hill anyway.
Yeah. But it was a good decision. I feel like that saved me maybe 20 minutes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
Man, you're saving 20 and 30 minutes all over. We're going to have you down to 6 hours, man.
But I don't know, because so from the research I've done at Leadville and going there, once you start getting closer to the top, it gets colder, and I feel like if you had bad luck and it started raining on you as you're going up, I don't know, maybe you could get like hypothermia or something. I don't know how cold it would get. It hasn't happened to me.
Yeah.
So I'm bringing this jacket with me 2 years in a row, and I've never used it, but just in case.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's
just like the tube, Justin. You carry it in case you need it.
So you're saying I should not take it out for next year?
Do not take it out. Okay. The first year you take it out is the year you're going to need it. So, so there's a common statement in bike packing, and it translates to, long distance races as well, as you pack for your fears, but you also have to pack for things that you can fix in case you have something. Like me personally, I think the sewing kit is not a worthy carry, but only not because it takes up a bunch of space, just because the likelihood that you're A, going to need it, and B, going to be able to execute that in a timely fashion.
Is it going to actually work?
Right. Well,
I practiced it.
I know, but how long is it going to take you to sew up a tire? It's going to be counting, accessing the tools, actually applying it, and then airing up your tire. I mean, you're talking 5-10 minutes easy. Like, whereas just throwing a boot in and throwing a tube in, you're 2 minutes, Do
boots stick? No, I mean, I have a boot with me also. I've just never actually used a boot.
Well, boots are never going to stick really well when you have sealant in your wheel, and you're not going to be able to clean all that out. So typically what you use is either a goo packet or a dollar bill or like a proper park tool boot, and you stick it in between your tube and the affected area of your tire, and the pressure from the tube keeps it in place.
I have the park tool boot, the right one.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it's not like you're going to peel it off and it's going to stick directly to your tire because all that sealant and stuff.
Yeah.
So what you want to do is get your tube partially installed or inflated, and then stick your boot in between where your cut is.
It doesn't shift around once you put it in place.
And that's...
And at least my opinion is that it's a higher likelihood of the boot taking than, quite frankly, the sewing.
Yeah.
To be honest with you.
Yeah, because even if you do a partial sewing job and you put a tube in, it's too late to deflate and re-sew. And if you have a hole that's too big, your tube's going to end up poking through there, and you're just going to set yourself up for an abrasion puncture anyways. So even if you sewed, you would want to put a boot underneath it anyways. You might as well just freaking boot it, unless you have a 4-inch slash, So that's just my thoughts. But...
I'm listening.
The jacket, I mean, I think obviously you don't want to be cold and miserable. So I don't think a jacket's a bad call. But if you're setting out to do sub 9 hour and you're just going to run lean and mean, then that's when you kind of have that discussion with yourself, So you have to be happy with yourself no matter what.
I brought surgical gloves too, just in case. I wrapped it up in the jacket. I've heard that can help. It's not heavy either.
Yeah. With your hands getting cold?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, is there a bailout option there if something happens? Is there a shuttle service or anything like that? Or do you have to walk all the way down the mountain? Or how does that work if people have a catastrophic mechanical or something?
I saw somebody coming down on a 4-wheeler last year. They probably crashed or something, but I don't know. They probably want you to walk. I don't know. I don't know.
I'm generally curious.
They don't have any SAG units or anything like that. I think you have to rely on your own resources.
I assumed as much. I just didn't know.
Yeah. I mean, it's effectively an out and back.
Right.
You go all the way up, make a loop. I mean, it's a popsicle or lollipop or whatever you want to call it. So
there seemed to be a lot of spectators and aid stations from what I saw from the coverage.
Yeah, how many aid stations were there? Neutrals.
Official ones, there was a mile 25 and then 28.5, and then Twin Lakes Dam is like around 40, and then you come back and get 40, and then on the top, so that's like 52.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then they tell you officially you're not allowed to have aid outside of there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I didn't, but
a
lot of people do.
I'm sure every one of the pros do.
Well, I don't know about that because they would get disqualified. But regular people just they kind of have their families everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I didn't do that.
So you're saying you're not a regular person?
No, I'm saying I am.
That was the other thing I couldn't understand. Kevin and I talked about it. That's one of the things we did talk about on the last podcast is guys like Keegan. Well, let's just talk about this first. How many bottles did you carry, and did you carry a water pack?
Yeah, so I did a 50-ounce pack. So it's 50 is on the one of the smallest you can get.
Yeah.
It's super light. And I had 4 packs with just plain water. So it was every time I got to 28, like wherever the 28.5 aid station, I would take one going there and then one coming back around mile 75-ish.
Yeah.
And then at Twin Lakes Dam, mile 40 and mile 60, I would have one there or 2 there. You know, I was supposed to swap it every time.
Right.
I didn't.
Yeah.
Didn't use it, and that's kind of where I got messed up. And then on the summit, mile 52, I have a trick that I learned last year is you get up there, you kind of get the guy's attention. They have a lot of people helping out there. So I took off my pack and I hand it to him, and he runs over, refills it, and you go around a 2-minute loop, and then you come back, and then he just hands it to you and just keep going.
That's freaking cool.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
Saved some time.
So you carried 50.
I like that. I'm going to have to file that one away. I like that idea.
So you carried 50 ounces on your back, and how many bottles?
Oh, just one bottle, but it's only for nutrition. It would have 200 carbs in it.
Okay, and your pack is just water.
Yes,
that's what I'm understanding. Okay.
Yeah, so you can judge, like, you know, if you feel like you need water.
Yeah.
Drink the water. If you feel like you need more nutrition.
Yeah. But when you need nutrition, you're already behind, especially with an effort that big. Right.
So I had enough for, I think it was 10 hours of nutrition, because you're also eating gels and stuff. Like, they give you. There's so much support at Leadville, so they're just handing out gels constantly.
But do you train with gels?
Not really.
So why are you eating gels in the middle of your race?
It's the same. The gels, if you look at the ingredients, it's the exact same thing as what I'm eating.
Okay.
Ultradection, fructose.
Okay, that's fair. So no stomach issues.
No.
So that's the reason I asked how much you were carrying is because that's one of the things that blew me away watching the race coverage is guys like Keegan and Payson and Lachlan and all those guys are only carrying one bottle.
Are they really?
Yeah, and I'm like, how can they go this hard?
Yeah.
And stay hydrated and keep their nutrition online, and only be carrying one bottle, especially if one bottle's getting them essentially, from what it sounds like, around 20 miles. I guess you could stretch a bottle for 20 miles, but it also looked like they're running like a 19-ounce bottle, you know? So I'm like, unless they had an IV an hour before the race, and they're going to get an IV when they finish the race.
So what was the mileage between the aid stations or where they were able to refill or whatever?
Officially, it was 25, 28.5, around 40, and then 52, around 60. And then it repeats back.
Okay, that's doable in a bottle.
I guess that is doable.
The first one's a long run, but that's okay. You down a bottle before you take off and sip on a bottle for the first 25 miles.
Yeah, especially if you're moving as quickly as Keegan.
Yeah, when you're going 20 miles an hour.
Yeah,
it's not taking them 11 hours.
Yeah, he did. What was his average? I forgot. We said it last time. It was over 20 miles an hour, wasn't it?
Well, let me do the math.
I can't remember now.
Where'd my calculator? There it is. So if we do 100 divided by 6,
I think that's 19.
That's 16.6 miles.
No, he was going way faster than that. I had it pulled up, and for some reason So
I mean, what did he do it in this year?
5:49, I think.
Oh, was it? I was about to say 5:50. Okay.
Yeah.
So I mean.
He was moving either way.
Is it right? Is it dead on? Is it dead nuts 100 miles or what's total mileage on it?
It's like 105, I think.
Yeah, like 104.5 or something.
Okay.
He was screaming. So that was one of the things that when I was watching the coverage, I was like, how do they just carry one bottle? But now that you lay out the aid stations.
Now that you've enlightened him.
Yeah.
Well, for people listening, I wouldn't recommend that. At least 2, because you should have like a nutrition bottle and a water bottle.
Well,
because
if Keegan's listening, I'll recommend it for him.
Okay. Keep doing what you're doing, Keegan.
I mean, that's a very, very, very hard thing. You'd have to have You'd have to have your nutrition dialed
Just
to a point of insanity.
Agreed. But we were looking at the one bottle, which was a stretch. So, for mortals, that's you're in 2 or 3 bottle realm easily there. So,
yeah, and obviously depends on temps as well, and like you said, proper hydration leading up, and just having your nutrition absolutely dialed. And a lot of those guys are on carbs per hour program where their nutrition is specifically dialed for them. So I imagine they have more spreadsheets than I've ever made in my life based on that one race. So,
speaking of that, the winner on the women's side, she didn't use heart rate or power.
Oh wow,
that was
that is interesting. I guess if you know your body, you know your body.
And she knows Leadville inside and out too.
Yeah. So isn't that the girl that she's been doing Leadville for like 10 years, and that was her first race she ever signed up for?
It just completely sparked her to become a professional cyclist.
And her parents were actually on course. Her parents race that race every year as well.
Yeah, they've been doing it for like 30 years or something like that.
They have a podcast too.
Yeah.
It's the Leadville podcast, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, but both parents?
I think it's the dad.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, just main takeaway, great success. Congratulations. Obviously, it's always a learning process. What do you think the biggest thing was you learned this year that maybe didn't even register last year? Or did you acknowledge something like, oh, I need to change this for next year, and it'll make a monumental change in my time or even comfort or anything like that?
Yeah,
I know we've talked about your bike setup and everything, but...
Yeah, but don't yell at me. I got my biggest weakest spot were the climbs.
Mm-hmm.
So, how do you climb better?
You have to practice climbing.
Well, isn't it like weight versus power, or how does that work?
Power ratio versus weight ratio. Yeah. But also...
technique's a big deal.
Yeah. And you're talking about technical climbing, right? Or are you talking about... No,
not really. It's Leadville's technical more than people think it is, but it's really just that raw power getting up the mountain.
What do you have around here? How long are the climbs there? 4 or 5 miles?
Like 4 or 5 hours.
Okay, but... Okay.
No, I'm exaggerating. Like, there is a spot where you climb for like 2 hours.
Yeah, so it's sustained climbing. You can't practice that around here.
That's what I'm saying. You're not able to practice that around here. Yeah. Yes, if you were 20 pounds lighter with the same power, would it be easier? Yes.
Yeah.
But actually getting 20 pounds lighter and maintaining the same power, that's not easy.
Yeah.
That takes a very disciplined...
Well, you're still talking about power to weight ratio. So if you lose 20 pounds and you maintain, a higher percentage of power to weight ratio, then you're doing better. Yeah. You're not going to keep the same power necessarily and lose 20 pounds.
Right. But my point is, to lose the 20 pounds, your body has less access to power much of the time.
So back to your question, though, how do you train to climb like that? And my immediate thought is you just do long intervals. Mm-hmm. Like go out and ride an hour at threshold, like pin it and just hold it. Yeah. And obviously that's something you got to work up to, but you've just got to get to where you can maintain a higher pace for a longer interval, and then you can climb better, because all that really is threshold.
Windmill Hill repeats.
Yeah. Yeah. But I don't even think repeats are going to do it for you, because then you're talking about a burst versus something that ramps up and sustains. If you look at it on a power curve kind of deal.
I think I have it.
I'm talking out of my ass. So,
you do it well.
Road riding with the group that I'm riding with, if you just get in the front and pull, it feels like that. It feels like you're you're working really hard.
Or even sitting on someone's wheel. The best way to work up to that is sitting on someone's wheel that pushes you and you can barely hang there. And eventually you're going to be sitting there super comfortably, and then beyond that, you're going to be the one pushing the pace. So it's not something you just jump into and automatically elevate, but you need to ride with people that are stronger than you, period. or just push. If you have the ability to push yourself harder than other people can, then that's an answer as well. But incremental gains.
Incremental gains.
Yeah.
I think. I mean, obviously, sub 9 is a worthy goal, but I think we can all agree that's an extremely aggressive goal.
Yeah.
For a year.
I mean, I dropped 45 minutes in 1 year, and if I could drop in another 45 minutes or an hour the next year, maybe I can do it in steps.
Yeah.
I mean,
I would shoot for
30.
I would shoot for eliminating an additional hour off your time.
Yeah.
And then anything between what you did this year and an hour faster is a win. So, but I think, there are lots of little things that you can do that will make a big difference. Like your nutrition.
Drop bars. You need drop bars.
I wouldn't say that. If you're not comfortable on drop bars, you don't need to just change the drop bars. But I think drop bars are perfect in that scenario. I mean, and it was proven this year.
It's going to be interesting to see how many show up next year on drop bars. That's going to be very interesting.
The thing is, it's not fair to say that drop bars are faster because Keegan won on drop bars. Keegan was going to win.
That's exactly my point. I'm not saying drop bars won it, but it will be interesting to see how many people take it to that level. Go, well, I got to have drop bars at Leadville.
But he was slower this year than last year. I mean,
because
I guess
the flat tire.
Yeah, he did flat.
Okay,
you got to give him that.
Yeah.
So, and that's, those wild card factors, they can come into play any year.
Yeah.
And there's no way to plan for them on that. Oh, well, he wanted to set the record this year. He didn't pull that off.
Yeah.
Some would go, well, then he failed because he didn't reach his goal. I
would argue that he had the fitness to do what he wanted to do.
There's always a luck factor of some sort in the mix.
Yeah.
You can't control everything.
It's a perfect storm, like we said.
I almost had a really bad not really bad, but so I broke a spoke on this bike maybe 2 weeks before the race, before Leadville. And I had them repair it, and it was fine for Leadville. And 30 minutes into North Shore, when I got back, it broke again. So I was like,
same spoke?
I don't know if it's the same spoke, but it's same tire.
Same
wheel. Sorry.
Same wheel, yeah.
What wheels are those?
I think they're stock, yeah. They're just stock.
They're Bontrager or something.
Well,
but they are carbon.
There's 5 minutes right there.
But you can ride with a broken spoke. I mean, you just, I still finished my North Shore, right?
Talking real wheels.
Yeah. Yeah, a wheel upgrade would literally save you minutes, just from a weight aspect, But gearing, I would say your gearing looks perfect. But no issues with shifting or anything like that. You said the dropper post was a game changer for your descents.
I would recommend a dropper for anybody listening that's thinking about Leadville.
And I noticed you're running a one-piece bar setup.
It just came stock on it.
Oh, it did?
Yeah.
Huh.
But I'm happy with it because you can see it drops down to the front a little. And when they put the new suspension fork on, it, pulled the front end up.
Yeah.
And so it feels fine.
So you didn't drop your stem anymore when you raised the front end up?
No.
Okay. Because I would have thought you would take, at least 10 mil of your spacers off and drop your stem down a little bit to kind of realign your position where it was.
Yeah, they were giving me not a hard time at the bike mark, but they were looking at me side-eyed. They're like, "What do you want to do to your bike?"
Yeah, because you wanted to change your fork?
Well, because it's a 120 and it came with a 100, so it's going to change everything.
He's skewing the geometry on the Racer Boy bike.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing.
Again, they're looking at it from an RCP perspective, not a Leadville perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they gave me the same looks when I brought in my truck checkpoint and wanted to put a suspension fork on it. And they were like, "What? What?"
And how many of them have completed Leadville in 2 years in a row? No, nothing against Bike Mart. I know.
No, they're
I know
awesome guys. Yeah.
They're great.
Yeah.
It's just they have a local mentality. So
yeah, no, I don't want to talk about them. They hooked me up with this.
Yeah.
They got this done really quick, and they're amazing.
It's a good-looking rig, man. Good-looking rig. So let's talk about nutrition, since we're almost there. So we've talked about this before. You make your own nutrition. And you brought some of us.
I did. I brought you guys sample packs.
I want to check this out because I see the numbers on here. I see all these random numbers scribbled on here. What does this mean?
Okay, so 200, it means 200 carbs, and 1,500 means 1,500 milligrams of sodium.
Okay. So there's 200 carbs in each one of these bags. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so just 2 hours per bag.
2 hours. Oh, per bag.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me see one, please. Thank you.
I'm glad you have these numbers written on here because if I get caught transporting one of these, they're going to call in the narco unit.
Yeah, I've thought about that.
So would you put this in 2 bottles or 1 bottle?
Just 1 bottle. Shake it up real hard. It will take a minute to dissolve after about...
that doesn't turn into paste?
Yeah, it works really well.
So this is where you and I differ. So I don't, and I know a lot of people do exactly what you're talking about, where they'll have just water and just nutrition. But I'm of the mentality, like I spread my nutrition. Like if I was going to do this over 2 hours, I would put this into 2 bottles, and so it's more diluted, and I'm taking in plenty of water, and so I'm just drinking those 2 bottles over 2 hours instead of having it heavily concentrated.
So do you alternate back and forth between the mix and the straight water, or how does that work in your routine?
For me, or for you would alternate on how your body feels. But speaking of what Brad said, but you can do it like that, like mixing it like that. But the problem is it works until it doesn't, until you get into a bad situation where the temperature's fluctuated so much that you might be like tired of the nutrition and just want water.
Yeah.
And then if you've already done that and you don't have water, it's not ideal.
Well, my thought is the way I try to take my nutrition in, especially because I typically run Tailwind, and I base how much I put in my bottles off of the temperatures, which determines how much I'm going to drink in an hour. And so if I'm going to drink a bottle in 40 minutes versus a bottle in an hour, I'm going to put less nutrition in because I'm going to be flying through my bottles. But I like the aspect of it's like trickle nutrition. You're constantly getting it, and it's like dosed out essentially, versus trying to figure out the ratio. Like, okay, I had 2 sips of this. Now I need to drink some water.
One's proactive, the other's reactive.
Yeah. So that's my thought process, and it makes sense in my head, just like what you're saying makes sense in your head. But it's just 2 different approaches. You know?
How long are you riding for? Like,
it just depends.
Well, your average. Do you do like 3, 4, 6 hour rides?
We did 6 hours on Saturday.
Oh, okay.
No, that was 5 hours.
My finish time was 4 hours and 21 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, but I did. So like for Midnight Mash, for example, I drank a lot of water that night. And I carried Tailwind with me. I started with 2 scoops per bottle. I started with 4 bottles because it was hot. And I drank all 4 bottles by the time we got to the first checkpoint. Was like 40 miles, something like that.
Something like that.
And so I drank all 4 bottles and then refilled 4 bottles and put nutrition in them. And I ended up drinking 7 bottles. So I had 1,400 calories over the course of right at 4 hours. That's about right, you know. But I'm drinking water at the same time. And the beautiful thing about that was I didn't have any solid food the whole ride. I finished. I wasn't even hungry. I finished, came across the finish line, had a Dr. Pepper, which was amazing. And then I rolled down to the truck, and I did have some Fairlife protein shakes. I drank 2 of those, and then got in the truck and drank a Topo on the way home. and I didn't even eat, and I went to sleep,
So you see you're coming around.
I wasn't like wiped out.
On the powder.
Yeah. Oh,
awesome.
I'm a powder guy. Tailwind's been a game changer for me, dare I say, because I don't eat well on the bike, especially like, people carry waffles and, nuts and all this stuff. And if it's a casual ride, then I'll carry snacks and if we're stopped and chatting. But if it's just a steady go ride, I don't eat well. It doesn't do well for me. But if I can just have a trickle of nutrition, I'm good for hours,
Do you know how much your nutrition costs per hour at 100 carbs?
Oh, I don't even know. I would imagine it's exponentially more expensive than this homemade concoction, this Breaking Bad stuff over here.
Yeah, I did the math for Tailwind, and actually Tailwind was very affordable compared to some other brands. I think it was just under $3 an hour for 100 carbs.
Yeah.
But, I mean, some of them are like $6 an hour for, like, gels and stuff.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is,
crazy.
The peace of mind I get with, I can put Tailwind in my bottle and know that I'm not going to have any stomach issues, I'm not going to cramp, and I'm not going to bonk. So $3 an hour, not that bad of an investment price for me. And if I can duplicate it with your homemade concoction, I'm even happier,
Yeah.
But you're saying this is 1,500 calories?
No,
1,500 sodium.
sodium.
So I don't know what Tailwind is.
What are the calories in it? Have you calculated that?
So I think a carb is 3 calories, right?
I don't know.
Not necessarily.
No.
You're asking the wrong. I know I'm a nutrition boy, but I don't really know how the exchange rate works, especially in Canada.
Yeah, I don't know. I just go by carbs because that's what they tell us to do on other podcasts. But
that was going to be my next question. So how are you determining that 100 carbs per hour is your right ratio?
100's minimum for racing.
Based on
trial and error, but that was like a starting number. Just you hear it everywhere when you listen to the pros or listen to other podcasts. They're talking about 120 and up.
Some people are doing 160 calories per hour or 160 carbs.
Carbs, yeah.
Yeah. So that's a lot. So, and I think it's, like you said, it's very personal, but some people, if they try to take in too many carbs, that's when you get the stomach locking up and everything just wants to shut down because your stomach can't process anymore. So you have
you don't ride with power, right? You don't have a power meter, right?
I don't ride with power.
Okay.
I have one on my gravel bike, but I haven't changed the battery.
Yeah.
Okay. And you don't watch your heart rate either, or
I stopped that over a year ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think that's a bad plan.
Heart rate slows you down.
Do you pay attention to your heart rate on training rides?
No.
No?
Well, no. What I'm getting at, you're alluding to what the pros do on their carb intake and their 120 baseline, their 100. That's based on very specific power outputs for that hour, sort of thing. Yeah. That's all. That's all I'm getting at. Those guys have it dialed down to. I've been watching my power meter for the past 7 minutes, and I went 10 watts higher. I need to take an extra half a sip right now to stay in my power zone ratio, sort of thing. I'm not knocking what you're doing. You've done Leadville a hell of a lot more than I have, so more power to you.
No power meter though, but more power.
For others that are wanting to duplicate the unconventional Justin Cary, all I'm saying is it's easier to gauge calories per hour for most people than carbs per hour until you're at those really high levels.
I made a video on how to make this mix that we're talking about, and I did it from a perspective of somebody that has no idea what they're doing, basically explaining what teaspoons and tablespoons are, just for the complete beginner.
So you don't do it by grams?
No.
Yeah, I would.
Because on the packages they say teaspoon or tablespoon.
I understand.
Yeah,
I would make a strong argument for you to convert it to weight.
We need to teach him how to change his formula to weight.
Yeah, if you convert it to weight, you'll be
you're going to be so much more precise.
Yeah, you'll be more precise, and it'll be a lot quicker, and you can bulk produce it so much easier than trying to convert. Like, say you want to make 10 pounds. Instead of trying to upscale 3 tablespoons into cups and try to balance all that.
Watch my video.
Okay.
I have a whole system. It's really, really quick.
Okay.
All right. So your cups are consistent from one batch to the next.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I'm not so if something needs a bunch of tablespoons or something, I'll have something where I can do 1 scoop for like the multiple.
Yeah, so you're just going by ratios.
Yeah. So I'll measure it out once, and then I can have the different bins, and then I take the scoop, put it on the plate.
We're going to do another video. We're going to have Justin back.
Yeah.
And we're going to do scoops versus grams. Okay. And you're going to be amazed.
No, whatever's faster, it's all good.
But I mean, literally, you could take a bowl and set it on a scale and tear it so it's 0. And if you know exactly the weight, you can just go
no,
and
that's
be
great.
done.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
It's you could realistically have 100 grams of carb variance from one bottle to the next working.
Maybe not that much.
Not 100, 100, but
you could be off
significant.
by a significant percentage.
Yeah.
I was trying to make the video though for the average person.
No, that's fair.
I was thinking the 1500. My bad.
That's fair.
I've had so many people, like friends, asking me about it, about the
20 grams.
Yeah.
So what is the not the specific ratios, but or if you want to ballpark it, that's fine. What is your mix again? Maybe you told it
60% maltodextrin and then 40% fructose and then sodium. And then a flavor, and then some type of flavor enhancer that you.
What is your fructose?
But just straight fructose, like from the grocery store, just a bag of fructose. You can just buy fructose.
Just a powdered fructose?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then a flavor enhancer, you can put whatever you want in there. I just put a little scoop of Gatorade, just for flavor. But
now, do you use the same brand of everything every time, or do you switch brands?
Yeah, same brand. So with Amazon prices, when they're on sale, I did the math. I got it down to about $1.20 per 100 carbs. But I was looking at it a little bit, and I think I could get it down under $1 if I were to buy it in just a little bit more bulk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Well, I'm going to try it out and see how it, because like I said, everybody's stomach's so different, you know?
Speaking of that, though, if you're getting stomach issues, I feel like sometimes you need to drink a little more water, while you're doing your nutrition.
Well, I don't have stomach issues anymore.
Okay.
So that's what I was saying, like Tailwind cut that out for me. Yeah. But back then, I would have stomach issues between like hour 4 and 6 is typically where it would hit me. Mm-hmm. And it was because I was riding with water or like a light Gatorade mix or some electrolyte in there, and I was trying to eat gels and stuff like that, and it would just, after hour 4 or something, just all that sweetness would just lock my stomach up, and that's when the cramping and everything else starts, and it becomes a shit show. So
to speak.
Yeah. So when I found Tailwind, all those issues went away. I mean, I've ridden Tailwind for 10, 20 hours, not 20 hours. I'm not going to lie, that big.
Challenge accepted. Yeah. Let's make that happen.
Hey, I got a 24-hour race coming up on Friday.
Oh, really?
What's that?
The Garmin World's Long Voyage.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And you're aiming for top 10, huh?
Yeah. Every time I say my goals on here, I get them.
It's a 24-hour race, or it's a mileage race?
300 miles. So I think it's going to be closer to 20 hours, 21 hours.
So you're going to be on the bike for 24 hours-ish.
Well, hopefully less. But I think the cutoff is 30 hours, but, I'll do it 21.
I was just making sure I had the format straight in my head. Sorry.
Oh, and it's in Nebraska.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. So does the PCL put that on? The Pirate Cycling?
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
Corey and those guys, they're good guys.
It's part of Gravel World.
Yep.
Okay. So 300 is going to be nothing after Unbound XL, huh?
Yeah, that should be easy.
Yeah. I wonder do you know what the climbing is like there versus what it was in Kansas?
I think it said 14,000, but I might be wrong.
That's not, I mean.
That's nothing extravagant over 300 miles.
Yeah, I think Unbound XL was 18,000, but I also might be wrong.
Yeah. So I think you're looking good. Do you know what the field looks like? How many people are typically in it? Yeah,
I think I saw like around 70. And then I think they've done it for 3 years. 2 years in a row, they had like a 50% fail rate.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then
that's a high attrition.
They had 1 year where not a lot of people failed, so I don't know.
I wonder if that was weather or...
Weather is always a factor.
Yeah.
I've heard that somewhere.
But also, people in Nebraska, they don't know how to deal with heat. So, like,
it gets to be hot.
Yeah, but it gets to be 90 degrees, and these people start dropping like flies, and they're like, oh, my God, it's hot. So I think you'll have an advantage there as well.
Yeah, I'm going to bring extra sodium for this one. I looked up the weather. It looked like it might be between 90 and 95.
Yeah.
It's going to be.
Which is...
Yeah. Well, it's going to be cool.
They're hitting over 100 at the Vuelta in Spain this week, right?
Yeah, I haven't watched any coverage for the Vuelta.
I haven't either. I just heard him mention it's like that.
Yeah.
Those professional roadies don't know how to deal with that shit.
Yeah. So you're aiming for a top 10 in long voyage. You're going, and I'm scared to say these things, but I love that you're calling people out.
I didn't dig into the notes like that.
So you're saying you're going to get first place at Judgment Day.
Yeah.
And I assume you're doing the 100.
Yeah. Well, me and Alexi are doing the 100.
Okay, but you're not including that against the single speed.
No, we're not in their category.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and then you're going to beat Alexi at Ray Porter, and you're going to be in the top 3.
So I did Ray Porter 2 years ago, and I got first, and that was the last time I ever beat Alexi. He's really fast, so this year I'm going to beat him. I'm saying it on here.
Okay.
I'm going to beat him.
Yeah. What is it called? Speak it into existence?
Yeah.
So, quick sidebar, does Alexi run flat pedals as well?
He does.
He does.
Our team's fast on flats.
Okay. This is the one that I love right here. Beat Sean McAfee at Texas Gravel Champs.
I've only beat him one time, and he destroys me every year. So
that's a big call. McAfee is so on form right now, and that guy he's got another level of hurt in him. I mean, any guy that can get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and race on Zwift is
every day.
Yeah, hats off. So I just love that you're calling him out by name, McAfee. He's coming for you. This is the one that troubles me though. Finish Central Texas Showdown. Finish.
470 miles.
I know, but you got that.
But it says top 25. Finish with top
25%. Yeah.
Well, there's a period. So
You know what I did actually when I was writing this up? I did write finish, just finish, and then I was like, okay, let's add something else.
Yeah.
You're right.
Okay, so we just top 25% Central Texas Showdown. That's what you meant.
Yeah. Anytime you toe the line, the first goal is to finish.
Yeah.
And the second goal is to do well.
And then get a good time at Austin Rattler 2024 for a nice corral placement.
For Leadville 2025.
What's that going to take? What will that look like to get your good corral?
Yeah, what was your finish last year at Austin Rattler? Ish.
Oh, man, it's been so long. I think it's around 6 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's 100 miles.
So
right?
it's only 60, but it is brutal 60. Yeah. It is some of the hardest 60 you'll do. It's like the elevation's crazy.
And just
it's
rock
usually
gardens
hot.
on rock gardens on rock gardens, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
With not a lot of shade.
Do they do that at Reveille now, or is it somewhere else?
Is it Dragon Slayer?
No.
RPR, isn't that Revel Peak Ranch?
Yeah, Revel Peak Ranch.
I'm pretty sure it's what it is.
I'm thinking of a different race.
You're thinking of the Dragon Slayer.
I am thinking of the Dragon Slayer. That would make sense. Okay. I'm silly. I've never done either one. I've never even ridden at Reveille Peak Ranch.
Hey, it's still open. Registration's still open. You could come. We got a little crew going all flats. No. No.
I am just coming back into shape. I think I took way too much leisure time on the bike, and I've been hitting it pretty hard. I think I'm 8-9 weeks in, and I'm starting to see gains. So,
you've had gains. Maybe you're just starting to recognize them.
Yeah.
All you got to do is get the qualifier time. It's like, it's not too hard. And then you get around a 7 to 10% chance at Leadville if you finish that race.
Let's be clear. I have no aspirations of doing Leadville. Leadville is a race and a course that doesn't appeal to me other than the fact that it's in Colorado. I don't want to do I don't want to do an out and back race, and I don't want to do a race that has that many people in it.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with it. It's just, it's not my cup of tea.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm thoroughly intrigued with it. I just don't want to do it. Just like I don't want to do the 300-mile race that you're going to do, and I don't want to do East Texas Showdown or Central Texas Showdown, whatever. Central Texas Showdown. I don't have any desire to ride my bike 400 and something miles in one go. I don't know. I'm all over the board when it comes to what I want to do.
Yeah. He's setting up for the Tour Divide 2026.
That's what I'm hoping for.
No, there's no hope. You done threw it out there. It's happening.
That is my plan, and I will end up having to do some of these things that I'm telling you I don't want to do in order to get to that goal. I feel like they're going to be necessary evils, but part of my plan is to start doing more Spinistry events, obviously, and to start taking a note out of the Justin Cary book and riding to the events and doing the events. And then either limping home or catching a ride home, just to put more mileage in, you know. So, and then you have new workout plans, and then I want to double back to your channel name and stuff because we kind of skipped over that. But I do want to get into your new workout plans and compare those to where the change is happening. Like, what was your old workout plan, so to speak?
Mm-hmm.
We say Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 3.5 hour road ride plus 1 hour CrossFit.
Yeah, it's I go from my house to the road ride, so I get like 5 miles there, and then do the road ride, and then the road ride to CrossFit, and then after that, ride home. It comes out to around
3.5 hours.
Yeah.
And what kind of pace are you doing on the ride part of that?
Yeah, so the road ride I'm doing is a 380 collective, and they it's cool because if you're feeling good, you can get in the front as long as you want and kind of, burn some energy in the front. And then if you're having a bad day, you can just stay in the back, and it's a little easier.
And you can just sit back there and draft.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then weekend race or social rides.
Yeah, there's a lot of Spinistry events.
Spinistry's killing it.
Yeah.
The Shadezilla ride, I can't say enough good things about that. That was so cool. Other than getting to Farmersville on 380.
Yeah, the 380 part sucked. But
yeah. But it was okay.
Jersey Mike's was good.
Jersey Mike's was good. Yeah, Princeton is blown up. Blown up. I was blown away. Tuesday, Thursday, mountain bike, gravel, or work, I guess. So what I'm reading here is you're going to be riding 7 days a week? Not sustainable, buddy. Trust me. Ask me how I know.
Well, I mean, rest days just work themselves in.
There we go. There's the logic. They happen.
I mean, today's a rest day. Yeah. It's all good.
Yeah. I do agree. Rest days make themselves.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah. You said you filmed yourself making your nutrition. So is this part of a new venture? Are you going to start putting out films? Or did you already have some films? I know you have your channel. Did you put your Leadville footage up?
So I did, but it wasn't good. My GoPro broke off within 15 minutes of the race. It was like kind of on a little descent, and I'm coming down to hit a rock, and I just see something flying down the hill. I'm like, oh.
So did you stop and recover your GoPro?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I was just making sure.
No, you're good. I didn't want to lose this.
Yeah.
They're expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I got that put in my pocket.
So that cost you 2 minutes right there.
Yeah. No, actually, it was probably more. I had to climb down the hill a little bit.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I was going to put a bunch of effort into editing. I'm not great at editing, but I was gonna try and put more effort into the Leadville video, make it nice with music and all that pretty stuff that people like. But I was like, you know, I have 15 minutes of footage, so I just threw it up.
Yeah,
it's not great.
Yeah.
But I'm good. Oh, the reason I did find out was I was talking to somebody else about this. Someone else said that blue Loctite will eat at your plastic and degrade the GoPro mount. So I think that's what happened.
That makes sense. And maybe you just need a better GoPro mount.
Well, yeah. I'm going to make sure it's metal this time. But it was an OEM one that came with the camera. So you'd think it would work.
Well, you think... You also have to think about
spec for blue Loctite.
Yeah.
That's... Yes.
But you also have to think they spend all their money on the camera, and the mount is just a gimme.
Yeah.
So it's probably worth it.
It's the fortune cookie.
Yeah. And why? And the other question is, why weren't you running a tether on your GoPro?
I've never had one falling off before.
I've never needed a tube before. I mean, if you were running a tether, which is like 5 grams, it would have broken off and just hung on your bars, and you could have just undid the tether and put it in your bag and moved on. Just you know.
Well, depending on how easy the tether would be to get it on and off might be an issue, because I use a Fidlock holder. The Fidlock is not what broke. It was the actual mount. So the Fidlock is a quick connect Fidlock. So I can, while with one hand I'm riding, I can pull my camera off and like swivel it around, put it on my face, move it all around, and then drop it back on. And it's magnetic and mechanical, and it makes it really, really easy to kind of get a cool shot.
So a tether doesn't work in that scenario. I get what you're saying now.
I think a metal mount, it would be it'd be fine.
So your mount broke, or your screw came out?
Oh, it was the plastic. It just broke in half. Yeah.
Okay.
But from an impact.
I was just going down.
It wasn't a record.
Oh, okay.
The person who told me that it was probably blue Loctite, I was with him on a road ride, and his just popped off. The same exact thing happened. And
yeah, and it could be the Texas heat and blue Loctite too.
Yeah. Did you Google that?
No.
So
did you listen to a podcast on
it? So this is 100% fact check then. Okay. So you already have your channel. What is it? Endless Parts?
Yeah.
Okay. And then, so we just talked. You said you got a new DJI 2 mic. Is that the one with the little fuzzy thing? So
yeah.
It filters out wind and all that stuff. So you get a lot better audio.
Yeah, because
it works really well.
Yeah.
Does it? Yeah,
Kevin has
should
one.
Come in today, hopefully. I'm going to try to film the long voyage with that, because I'm so against editing that I want to try to edit while I go.
So here's my recommendation. Put it here, upside down.
Okay.
So my kid ordered. He's doing spike ball. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, but he started doing videos, and he bought this microphone setup that pairs with his phone and all this, but he wears it under his shirt, and it still picks up perfect. I'd have to ask him what it is, but you already have a microphone. But I just didn't know that we were so far advanced on wireless mics and stuff. It's pretty impressive to me.
I mean, it's basically just come on in the last couple of years.
Yeah, pretty impressive. So the latest video is your Leadville video or nutrition video?
But I'm not proud of it. The Leadville video is not proud of it. The nutrition video, I think I am. I mean, it's not nothing fancy, but when I get all these questions from friends and stuff, I can just send them the link instead of explaining it. It saves me all the time.
Yeah, it does save you a lot of time.
Yeah. I'm proud of my Unbound video, though. That got like 5,000 views.
That's
nice.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. And then next race is Nebraska Garmin Long Voyage.
Yeah.
And we already said that you're going for top 10. I'm pretty stoked to see how you do on that. There'll be trackers on that for sure, right?
Yeah, the same track leaders.
Yeah.
I'll post it on the Facebook.
Heck yeah. And then you said we'll try and film it. What do you mean we'll try? I mean, you're going to film it, but you're going to try to get good footage.
Yeah.
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 So you're going to get a metal mount.
On my gravel bike, it has a metal mount.
Okay.
Yeah. This one was hard to figure out a metal mount because of the
one piece.
The one piece. Yeah. I'll have to figure out something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think you can run it on the bottom of your bar, and you can basically do the inverse of what you have on the top of your bar. but that would make it difficult for you to take it off, like you're saying.
It has this. Okay, there's a screw. This is, I think it's a Bontrager bar or something. There's a screw in front that's like a, it's there for lights or whatever. I did actually order the piece from Trek to be able to mount a GoPro in the front.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, and hopefully it didn't say if it was plastic or metal. So if it's plastic, we will not use Loctite.
It's probably plastic.
Hopefully not.
I'm very curious about that, whether blue Loctite degrades plastic. Maybe you need to use green or red Loctite. One of them's permanent, though.
Red, I think, is permanent.
Red's permanent. Permanent. Depends on how much torque you can apply.
Yeah. Okay. Permanent's relative.
So, it sounds like you've got the next at least 6 months mapped out, right?
Yeah, I'm in like race season right now. I have starting at Leadville, it's between 7 and 8 races, depending if I do the Mid-South Mega.
What's the I don't know the Mid-South Mega.
That's Bobby's new 300-mile.
Yeah.
Oh, the Unbound, or not Unbound, it's not.
Land Run.
Yeah,
Land Run.
It will be the first they do,
but
the first ever.
They're doing it in September, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it fits in with the schedule. It's kind of crazy. It's like a race a week, basically.
Right.
Yeah. That's a lot, man. But what's your mileage for the year, by the way?
4,000.
Damn. I feel like I was doing good. I looked at my Strava yesterday, and I was at like 2,100 miles, and I was like, that's not bad. For me. But then, I comparison is the thief of joy, as we've stated before.
Yeah.
But so I'm proud mine are outdoor miles.
Yeah.
Yeah, because indoor miles, it would be divide by 50%.
Yeah, I have 0 indoor miles, so all my mileage is natural.
Yeah.
With a slight asterisk on the e-bike miles that I did in Arkansas.
There's a little bit of e-bike miles in there.
There's a slight asterisk on, I think, 3 or 4 days of riding.
Understood.
For the whole year.
Not judging.
And I don't regret them at all. Don't regret them.
Hey, my dad rides an e-bike, and we had fun because he could keep up with me. I could barely keep up with him, actually. Yeah. And it made it equal,
Yeah.
It made it really fun.
I mean, that's one of the biggest draws to e-bikes from what it allows people to ride together that normally wouldn't.
Yeah.
Whether that's a family member or a friend or just whatever.
Yep. What e-bike is he on, out of curiosity? It's not a Trek, is it?
It's a Trek. But it's some type of cruiser. It's not.
Yeah.
He needs to get a new one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. What else do we have? You said you're sad you can't make it to the All or Nothing. You'll be at Central Texas Showdown.
Not able to defend his title.
Yeah. If anybody's interested in that race was actually one of the most fun races I did that year.
Yeah,
it was a lot of fun.
I appreciate that, but it's going to be different. It's a totally different format. So
there's a lot brewing behind the scenes. Me and a couple of other guys are talking about bikepacking it.
That was going to be a recommendation.
Yeah, riding from here the night before, and then camping, and then
I was going to actually ask you if we might be able to use Casa Verde as a rally point for some people.
For sure.
Right.
So we're talking about riding up there, camping, and then riding back to here, essentially. So
understood.
Yeah, and I will be on the Fargo. I think Drop Bar Mountain Bike is my go-to for that event.
Very nice.
So I think that would be a great weekend. What's the date on that again? My calendar's so
October 26th. So
it'll be the weekend after BT Epic.
BT Epic. So are you going to have to cram in a dinner that weekend?
I think my dinner is. I think I'm only going to do one dinner in October, and I think it's going to be the weekend before that, the weekend before BT Epic.
Okay.
I have to look real quick.
And we're still on for this weekend, right?
What's going on this weekend?
Dinner.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm stoked. I'm going shopping today.
Okay.
That's why I rode before you got here.
And spot's still open?
Yeah.
All right.
In fact,
since we're releasing on Thursday,
I only have 2 spots left.
Oh, look at that.
I'm so stoked. Yeah. It's been incredibly difficult to fill dinners this weekend.
Never mind.
Summer.
What's your website?
Eatatfam.com. All spelled out.
Visit eatatfam.com and book yourself a weekend with or a Saturday night when available, because it's worth it. Jan and I are coming back this week, and we're long overdue, and wife's very excited by that.
I'm excited about the menu that we're going to put out too. So, I
have a question for Kevin, and
go.
You've already answered this question, but we haven't talked about it on the podcast. Are you ever going to put on like a long endurance race, like 300 miles?
I do a 1,000-mile one.
Oh, well, that's true. Okay. It's kind of a dumb question then, I guess.
I'm excited for the all or nothing. I think that's a cool format, and hate to show my cards, and I was going to talk to you about this off air, but I'm on the Big Pig board, and we were talking about this particular event, the Ray Porter, because it seems almost, and you're probably going to agree or disagree, obviously, but I don't think that the multi-hour format is getting any more traction. I feel like that race format is kind of falling off, and I'm trying to convince these guys to do something mixed terrain, a la Rule of Three,
sure,
and make that a Ray Porter kind of thing. And maybe it's, and I even mentioned maybe wrangling you in and doing it in conjunction with Spinistry and treating it like a fundraiser as well. But I don't know what that looks like. This is just me spitballing. But
no,
I would love to do something that's an adventure format, longer mileage, say the premier event, just 100 to 150 miles and hitting every type of terrain we can. And then obviously having step down distances, like a 50 and a 35 or something, just to appease everybody or most everybody.
Have something for everyone.
Yeah. So I'd be interested in doing something like that because that's what calls to me, and B, I think it's a growing format and has been for quite some time.
Here's my only concern for something like that. While yes, I do agree that the traditional 6-hour, 12-hour, 24-hour mountain bike format is diminishing and has been for a while. Well, the more events that go away, the less likely it is to ever come back.
That's
I think
fair.
all this stuff works in cycles. I really do. So I personally, I would be a fan of the 24-hour races being a big thing again. But maybe it's a slightly different direction. Maybe there's room for a 24-hour format, but maybe a modern 24-hour format. Maybe there are some ramble type adjustments that need to be made to it, to where maybe it's still got that spirit of the traditional mountain bike 24-hour format, and maybe the 4-hour and 6-hour pieces do work for that. But if you're doing the 12 or the 24, maybe it becomes multi-surface at that point or something like that.
Yeah, I saw a blurb on a race that went down a week or so ago, and it was a multi-hour format where it was a multi-lap deal, and it went into the night, and they were doing, like, they had a bridge over water and all kinds
Troubled
of,
water?
No. But, like, not a skinny, but it wasn't like a deck. It was maybe 2 feet wide, and it goes over water, and it was a multi-surface, what I would call it. But I can't remember the name of the race right now. But I was like, that's a cool format, something that's not monotonous. You're not just on trail for, 6 hours. So
I get it, but going back to the traditional 24-hour and 12-hour races, where those, like 24 Hours in the Canyon is a fantastic example of it. It's the relay teams that create that vibe.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a big deal.
Or the guns that are doing 24-hour solo.
That's a bucket list for me. I want to do that. Dude. It falls over Unbound though, usually.
24 Hours in the Canyon's almost always the same weekend.
Yeah. But it's for a great cause.
It is.
Much like the Ray Porter Memorial.
So you've got the postcards today. Do we have the website and everything this time?
Yeah. I think it's on here.
What's the date?
October 5th. It's from 4 to 10 p.m.
So now we have the times.
Yep. And it
at
is
Irwin Park
at
in
Irwin
McKinney,
Park.
Texas.
Yep.
And what's the format?
It's a 6-hour race.
6-hour race.
And I actually got tons of these postcards because I have a stack in the house as well, and I was going to give these to you guys and see if you wanted to put them at either one of your shops that you frequent. No obligation.
We can do that.
But this has a QR code to register for the race, a QR code to make a donation, and a PayPal QR code to make a donation. So, our whole goal is to raise money for people in our area that are affected by cancer.
The website to go to is a bunch of squares and blobs. So I would recommend Googling Big Pig Cancer Foundation.
Yeah, that'll get you there.
That'll get you there.
Or Ray Porter. I just signed up for that yesterday.
Good deal. Well, here, I'm going to give you a stack of these.
Yeah, I go to the bike shop a lot because I break my bikes a lot.
Yeah.
So I will drop it off for you.
Yeah.
So remind me, so obviously there's a solo 6-hour.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember all the categories.
There's a single speed, right?
Yeah.
Two-person teams.
Two-person and a 4. There's also e-bike category.
There's an e-bike. How does that work?
That's new, I think.
No, they did it last year.
No, I wasn't there last year.
And I think they have a 2-man, 4-man, and I say man, I'm sorry, 2-person, 4-person e-bike as well.
Interesting.
And then they have mixed. So they have 4-person mixed. And then obviously they have
female.
Every category in female as well.
Okay.
Geared, single speed, team, 4-person. So
very nice.
I think there's a little something for everybody. So, and it's going to be a lot cooler this year, hopefully, because we're doing it in October.
Doing it in October instead of August.
Instead of August. And there's typically pretty good food. So, and it's a good time.
It's a fun race. It really is.
Yeah, it's a good environment.
Big Pig Cancer Foundation.
Yeah.
Google it. There will be a link in the show notes, but I know a lot of people aren't able to access the show notes while they're going down the road.
Yeah.
And I'm going to beat Alexi in this race.
And Justin's going to
beat... That's the rumor. That is the rumor.
Alexi.
My last question is, do you have a single speed in the works yet? Have you given any more thought to getting a single speed?
No.
But that's unfortunate.
I don't know if my wife would let me get another bike right now.
I mean, you could.
You have a second one of those, right?
Yeah, but it's for now. It's for parts.
Yeah, but you can't single speed that.
I already that wheel's from the other bike. I just swapped the wheel over instead of.
I mean, you could run a tensioner
you could put
on
a tensioner.
That's so clunky, though.
Just to get in there, just to get that taste of the crack.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say. Is I liken single speeds to someone that wants to get into mountain biking, and they don't know if they're going to like it. I don't ever suggest someone go out and buy the top of the line bike as their first mountain bike. You want to buy something that is borderline entry level, maybe just a little bit above. And then once you get a taste for it, then you can figure out where you want to go. But I firmly believe if we could get you on a single speed, it would open your eyes and you would become a just absolute fan of single speeding.
I think we've talked about this, though. I can't do CrossFit in single speed, remember? Yeah. That'll be too annoying to everybody.
Oh yeah. Well, there's a simple solution then.
Yeah, you don't. What is it? The first rule of Fight Club is you don't talk about Fight Club. You don't have to tell everybody you're a single speeder, just like you don't have to tell everybody you CrossFit. It's not obligatory.
You talk about, I thought about this before. People talk about CrossFit because they enjoy it and they want other people to enjoy it. You're talking about single speed because you enjoy it and you want other people to enjoy it.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. Evangelical. Yeah. I think single speed is a great tool, a great training tool.
So why do vegans talk about it so much? They're not enjoying themselves.
Because they're virtuous. Vegans are the original virtue signaling people.
Oh, we'll go out on that and look for the emails.
I've already ridden my bike, but you guys should ride your bike.